Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Happy hump day to all of you. Shout out and peace to all my ADOS brothers and sisters. Peace to the ancestors and peace to our allies. Um, so, we're about to get into it today. But before I do, just a couple of things I wanted to mention real quick. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Dynast Amir, right? Or also known as Search for Uhuru. As many of you may know, I appeared on a broadcast with him where we were discussing ADOS and other topics, right? And I thought it was a very, very fruitful discussion, a very peaceful discussion. And I think it was productive, right? So I was glad and honored to have the opportunity to share that platform with the brother for the brief period of time that I got a chance to do it. From what I've been able to see, it appears that Brother Dynast is asking some questions that I think, first of all, are fair to ask, right? So with that in mind, I do want to make it clear that, sorry, I just had to make an adjustment to the camera there, family. Let me adjust shit a little bit. There we go. All right. He's asking some questions that I think are fair questions to ask. I might differ with him in the area in which I think it's, I should say the time frame it's appropriate to address those questions or whatever. But again, I think that he's asking some good questions, and I don't see any particular problem with with having discussions with people like Dynast or others. And for those of you who had the opportunity to see it, I hope that I was able to do our position some justice and hold my own. Because I definitely want to make sure that whenever I appear on anyone's platform or whatever the case may be, that I represent our position and our people with dignity and with clarity. So, shout out to you, brother Dynast, and thank you again for that opportunity. The second thing that I want to mention is that I will be doing a broadcast probably at the end of this month. The last Saturday broadcast of June will be a review and a discussion on the book The Color of Money by Marisa Baradaran, right? Link to the description or link to the book is in the description. Please make sure you pick up a copy, right? And read along with me. I think that this book is a game changer in discussing how banking in general, how black capitalism in general has actually been used as a weapon in order to maintain the status quo for us as ADOS folk, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to having that discussion and reviewing that book, right? So with that said, let's get right into the topic here. The topic for today, fam, is Africa's agenda for ADOS. Now, I recognize and I apologize in advance that that title is a bit clickbaity, right? Because it implies that I might be announcing or introducing a controversy. But I truly don't believe that it is controversial in the least to assume that there is actually an agenda, maybe not Africa wide, but a general idea of interaction with us as ADOS folk. And I want to talk about that in a little bit more detail because as I ponder on the interactions that we've had with PAs, right? You know, pan-Africanists, black immigrants in general, whether from the continent or from the so-called diaspora nations and so on and so forth, I think it starts to become clear to me that we need to investigate motives behind why it is that they operate with us the way that they operate with us, if I'm making any sense, fam. You see, one of the things that I have noticed in my examination of Pan-African ideology, Pan-African practice and procedure is that you've primarily had, I'm speaking specifically about ADOS, but generally in the diaspora, you've had the diaspora reach out to Africa, but without much reciprocity, without much of Africa actually reaching out to us, right? People who are Pan-Africanists like to bring up El Malik El-Shabazz, may he rest, and his efforts to unify with Africa, have discussions with various leaders on the continent and so on and so forth. But what they don't tell you is that Mr. Shabazz, right, Malcolm X's efforts were rebuffed by many of the African leaders of his time. They simply would not coordinate or co-sign his efforts to bring a unified front to address all of our issues en masse with the UN. We have seen continually people like Marcus Garvey, who again was not ADOS, but worked hard to forward the growth, the expansion of ADOS peoples and their interests, who have made attempts to connect with Africa, only for there to either be a rejection of those attempts or a simple non-acknowledgement at all, right? So when we as ADOS during this transformational moment are working to press home our justice claim, and we see consistent, whether or not it's factual or logical or even relevant, but we see this consistent pushback from many people who are continental Africans or pan-Africanists. One has to question the motives. One has to question whether or not there is.
Just a tip for your efforts.
Appreciate the love. By the way, type your name in the chat. I'm not gonna call you anonymous. I'm gonna recognize you for who and what you are, but I appreciate the love and thank you for the support. Oh, it was Miss Denny. Thank you, Miss Denny, for the love. I don't think it's inappropriate for us as ADOS to start to ask clear questions about cui bono, who benefits, right? So let me posit to you a scenario. And if you are a Pan-African adherent or proponent in the chat, if I misrepresent your position in any way, please feel free to correct me, okay? But let's say, for the sake of argument, right, that Pan-Africanists believe that for us to truly be effective at combating, fighting, and ultimately gaining justice from America, that there needs to be a worldwide global connection of all people who are of African descent, regardless of their current geographical location. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that's the case. Then I don't think it's inappropriate to ask the question, who benefits from that, right? If we say today, as ADOS folk, that we desire to connect with Africa and to help forward their goals, their aspirations, their efforts, in for a penny, in for a pound, how does that benefit us here in America as ADOS? I don't think it's inappropriate to ask that question, right? Because the type of questions that I get as one of your advocates, right, as a proponent of ADOS, is what's the end game, right? That was a question that was actually asked to me during Dynast's broadcast. Peace to everybody in the chat, by the way. LaShawn, Miss Denny Charles, Unsunken One, Miss Shar's in the house. Black Dollars, peace to you, brother, little lady. What's up, fam? Darker Visions in the house. Chris, from my man from Sacramento, peace to you. And John Petty. They ask us, what's the end game for ADOS folk? And having fielded that question a few times, I have come to the understanding that there is something underlying that question that is not being spoken. Shout out to you, August, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast. Brother Tazba in the house, welcome to you as well. What they're truly asking us is, after we get our justice claim, what's next? Right? Like, it's something bad or incomplete or undone should we be able to successfully press home our justice claim here in America. As if ADOS finally having the debt, this 400-year debt settled, is not the completion of our collective efforts for our collective benefit. And it hit me the other day after I finished that broadcast that that's actually what they're saying. They're saying, okay, you have gotten your due. Congrats. Slow clap. But now what are you going to do for the rest of us? And it made me realize something that I had not really, I understood it sort of viscerally, right? In my gut or intuitively, but I never really kind of put it into words. It has become patently clear to me that whatever the agenda is that Africa and Africa's warriors, Africa's apologists and proponents, whatever the agenda entails, part of it entails our continued efforts on Africa's behalf. Thank you, by the way, August. I appreciate it. You see, family, it is not enough, right? We as ADOS people will have, in the eyes of many pan-Africanists, many people from the continent, and so on and so forth, who are invested in this thing, we will have no place to stand that warrants respect, that warrants dignity with them. Even after we had pressed home and successfully been able to regain our place as American citizens here in the United States. To them, that is not a completion. That is not the the ultimate end goal that our ancestors in this country fought, bled, breathed, lived, and died for. No. For them, should we be successful in that aim, that is only the start of our labors, not the completion. And that, to me, I find to be disturbing. I'll explain to you, family, why I find that to be disturbing. Because it is eerily similar to how everyone seems to operate when it comes to dealing with ADOS. We are only worthy of respect, dignity, humanity to the extent that we provide utility to these people. And Richard, I would say that we have lost a lot, but we have not lost everything, right? Because I can agree with Dynast and Holopsism that other options, other opportunities for growth of ADOS people should be on the table. I think that any rational, sane ADOS person can acknowledge the fact that we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, that we can press home our justice claim here in America while putting feelers out, reaching out to other groups and so on and so forth, and forging alliances and creating safe spaces and places to stand in the sun. That it would be foolish to not do that. But here's the thing to note. We have not lost everything in America. And for people to sit here and claim that somehow or another we're at the point where it just simply makes no sense for ADOS to be in America, they are completely and positively wrong. If nothing else, I need to fight for what my ancestors were due. If I have no other reason to be here, it is to continue to advocate on the behalf of my ancestors who no longer are able to advocate for themselves. Justice does not end simply because the people that were due that justice dies. That's the one thing that ADOS has made clear to everybody. We are the American descendants of slavery. We get straw manned all the time, that we have made slavery the sole arbiter of what our lineage is, as if we can't look at our own black skins and understand that we have roots in Africa. Like we're so goddamn pardon my language. I haven't even been cursing. So like we are so dense that we can't understand clearly where we hail from by descent. But lineage is a little bit more than that for us here at ADOS now, isn't it? Right? Because think about this. When we came here to America, we were primarily made up of groups from the Senegambia region in the United States. Most of the slaves that were brought here to the United States came from the Senegambia region, right? So we were Daoman, Fawn, Igbo, Hausa, Akan. We were all these different tribal groups in Africa. And if there was a way genetically to be able to trace lineal descent to a particular tribe, you could DNA test us all and it would establish that. But the problem is that slavery for us was a melting pot. It was completely democratic. Nobody in America gave a damn what tribe your ancestors hailed from. We were all the same thing. 3/5 of a human being for the purposes of census and property, chattel property. No master or mistress bought a slave and said, by the way, I only can have a slave from Dahomey because I've heard those the best. Yeah, they might have said that shit. And guess what? The slave trader would be like, yeah, he's from Dahomey. That'll be $500. They didn't care. Right? They didn't care. So the thing to remember, family, is that when we talk about lineage, our recent history of 400 years in this country is absolutely relevant to what we're talking about. It can't just be about Africa, because I'll be honest with you. How do you address the clear claim with evidence that supports it, that Africans and Africa was complicit in the slave trade? Right? So if we're supposed to have allegiance or alliance with Africa, why would we want to have allegiance or alliance with a group of people that has been responsible for bringing us to where we are in the first place? I keep hearing all this stuff about, well, the white man forced them to do it. So the white man can force Africa to do that shit and they still remain with their dignity. But we were forced to be enslaved, right? And that makes us undignified somehow. So Europe could force its will on Africa for 300 plus years. But they still deserve humanity. They still deserve respect. They still get to identify with their particular lineages and tribal affiliations and national affiliations, and it's no problem. But we are the descendants of people who were kept in chains, who were beaten, brutalized, raped, tortured, mentally mind screwed. But we're lesser than? Tell me how that works out. That makes no sense. We're not allowed to claim the desire for our autonomy for our own group, right? To identify our shared lineage in history as our own tribe and have that be respected. Whatever the agenda that Africa has for ADOS people, I also know that it includes them setting the terms of identity for us. And that's just facts. Pan-Africanists, Africans from the continent, and so on and so forth, have made it clear that they feel that they are the arbiter, that they decide how it is that we define ourselves, how we identify ourselves, and so on and so forth. Richard, I would agree with you. And I actually mentioned that on Dynast's broadcast that Europe had no problem with coming together to do whatever it needed to do in Africa to maintain the slave trade and Jim Crow and so on and so forth here in America in the apartheid region. Yeah, no problem. That's facts. Right? That is absolutely facts. But that also puts the nail in the coffin of the idea of Pan-Africanism. Because there is literally nothing stopping Africa from coming together and organizing in an African Union similar to the EU with a common market, common borders, common trade, common economy, common currency. They just simply won't do it. They simply have not done it. Africa's agenda for ADOS involves our continued labor on their behalf and them setting the terms as to what place we hold under this Pan-African banner. We cannot ever rest, right? We cannot press home our justice claim here, right, in homage and honor of our ancestors, and then say, okay, we good. And we damn sure cannot identify ourselves as our own tribal group, as the American descendants of slavery. Little lady, you just said something, though, that is deep as hell. Because what I have come to realize is that in some way, shape, or fashion, we are key to whatever happens in Africa. When I say we, I mean ADOS specifically. There's an article I read, and I'm going to try to find it right now. There was an article that I read where it was discussing a new type of union, right? A $3 trillion trade block. I'm going to show you this, guys, real quickly here. Give me just a second. We're going to take a look at this real quick. Let me see if I can pull this up for us. Give me just a second. We're going to turn that off. And we're going to turn this on. Along with your man. Thank you, y'all, for the patience. Africa set to agree to $3 trillion trade block. Right? 3 years of talks. expected to culminate in the creation of an almost $3 trillion African trade bloc, with the exception of one of the continent's biggest economies, right? A free trade zone of more than 50 countries. Now, I would argue that this is a step in the right direction for Africa. But now, haven't those black capitalists been telling us that we have this magical $1.3 trillion in spending power that we supposed to be using instead of buying Jordan's hair weaves and Newports? Right? Well, last time I checked, because I can do some basic ass math, $1.3 trillion would be about a good quarter of what it is that they're trying to set up right there. So let's assume, family, for the sake of argument, that we did have this magical 1.3 trillion bucks just lying the hell around, right? Would it be beyond the pale to wonder if our newfound or our relative affluence as ADOS folk, and I say relative, could be a driving factor behind some of the rancor with us setting our boundaries and refusing to adhere to the common Pan-African party line? That the possibility of us husbanding our resources and fighting here in the United States for our benefit solely at first, right, has got people who were possibly depending on the injection of ADOS intellectual property, ADOS ideas, ADOS business acumen, ADOS capital into their economies. Could that also be a part of Africa's agenda for ADOS? Right? I have not heard Ghana say, come home, ADOS family, where we have land set up for you and we have welfare structures in place to help you get on your feet and you can have a place to stand in the sun. They want you to come home, quote unquote. But they want you to bring all your resources, whatever it is, with you. They want you to bring your ideas with you. They want you to bring that willingness to put your nose to the grindstone and sacrifice and scrimp and scratch and save and build like we always have. They want you to bring that with you. Because, family, understand, we go to Africa, we're not going over there as beggars with our hat in hand. No, we would be bringing a world of connections. We speak natively as our mother tongue, the primary business language of the world. Many of us have been educated in some of the best colleges on the planet. You think that has gone unnoticed by Africa, especially in light of the fact that their best and brightest don't want to stay there. They want to come here. To the Golden Mountain, to the land of opportunity. Here's the thing. They tell you we're done here. They say, ADOS, your bridges is burnt. Your ship has sailed. The white man and this country ain't got nothing for you, man. It is time for you to split. You ain't got to go home, brother black man, but you got to get the heck up out of here. Meanwhile, they are capsizing on ships and sneaking in shipping crates and doing whatever they have to bring their asses from Africa and other places in the diaspora here. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it right and correct that ADOS have no more work that they can do here, but someone who is not familiar or cognizant with the governmental structures, the language, the culture in general, and so on and so forth does? That there's an opportunity that they can have that we cannot? We're supposed to just throw up our hands and say, "Oh, no, I guess we can go to the Sahara or something, dig in the sand and make us some, make us some sand castles or something." But then they still beating feet the first chance they get to get over here. Answer me how the hell that's supposed to work. Richard, we focus on the Africans because they're the clearest example of what it is that we're talking about. But the same dynamic obtains for diaspora nations too as well. I haven't met a Pan-African from anywhere who hasn't in some way tried to tell us as ADOS people that our fight here is done and we've lost. That there's no point in further struggle, right? That we should just dip out. We need to separate. But yet, when you look at the data, see, this is the problem. You can argue with me about how you feel about Pan-Africanism, and that's perfectly fine. I'm willing to have discussions with you about your opinions and how you feel. But you cannot argue with the data. And the data shows clearly that there has been a long term, since around the end of the civil rights movement here in the United States, a long-term brain drain from many nations in Africa, with those people leaving and going either to countries in Europe or to America. Dispute that. Bring your evidence and dispute that. Now, explain to me this. Why would they come here? Especially if they're telling their fans and family members that, hey, they have it set up there that people that look like me can get into college for reasonable and they can get access to jobs and so on and so forth. So how is it that they could come here and tell us that we need to leave? Somebody explain that to me. Richard, you brought up an interesting topic, to be quite honest, that I think warrants its own broadcast. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm not sloughing you off. I'm telling you, that would require a whole entire broadcast of its own. So will you do me the dignity, the honor of letting me address that at a later date? I'd appreciate it. We all know of Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, people from Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, so on and so forth, who are coming over here and establishing their shit and saying, damn Africa. You can't even talk to their second generation children about Africa. They don't want to hear you. Because they already know where the money is. They already know where the money is. And let's be honest, family. Just keeping it a full buck. They've already made it clear that patriotism isn't high on their list of priorities, because if it were, they'd stay in Nigeria, they'd stay in Cote d'Ivoire, they'd stay in Benin, they'd stay in Togo, they'd stay in Kenya and fight there to improve the conditions there. So for them, love of nation, love of people has nothing to do with anything. It is completely mercenary. They will go wherever it is they can get the better deal. And they can get a pretty goddamn good deal here in the United States of America. off of your stolen labor and your ancestors' stolen labor and off your ancestors' stolen intellectual property and off the trade in their bodies and off of our incarcerated bodies and off our diseased bodies and poisoned bodies. There's opportunities here for them. But they tell you supposed to pack up and go. You dumb niggas just want to live up under them white folks. Y'all just want to have a better place under white supremacy. Let me ask you a question that none of them is willing to ask. Who don't? Who don't want a better spot under white supremacy? It's not as if Africans or everybody who is of African descent all over the globe has decided unanimously across the board to unite. So if they come here, what is it that they want? Could it be a better place under white supremacy? Because it's sure in the hell a better place in New York City than it is in the backwaters of Congo, where you're facing malaria, Ebola, no infrastructure, no roads. Let's just keep it a damn buck. They tell us, y'all kissing the ass with the other white man. Y'all just love the white man. Y'all can't give the white man up. They can't either. They can't either, family. They can't. How are you going to chastise me and my people for wanting to make a home where we are, where we've landed, where we've been here, where our ancestors' bones are buried, when you've ran the white folks out of your country and you can walk into any courtroom and see them draped in black robes and white wool skin wigs like white men? You tell me I can't give up white folks. I'm a minority in this nation. I'm surrounded by white folks. The only way I can escape white folks is to not be in America. You have entire nations where the majority of the people look exactly like you and you still trying to get close to white folks. So who's really the ones that's kissing the ass of the white folks? That's just so in love with the European. I'm not trying to be an asshole here, family. I'm asking key questions that demand an answer. How do you get to chastise me and my people for fighting for justice in a land that we have worked to help build, that we have built, where our ancestors' bones and blood is buried, where we know the terrain, and so on and so forth, right? We're supposed to just leave all that behind to go someplace else we don't know shit about, around people we know nothing about, who could have just been complicit in sending our ancestors to their fate. But we're supposed to leave a spot. We're supposed to be like the Motel 6. We'll leave the light on for you. Huh? My ancestors were enslaved. Your ancestors were colonized. Like Unsunken One said, what the hell's the difference? What makes you better? My people have survived the crucible, the greatest human rights atrocity known to man in modern times. Some of your family actually sold out to the colonialists so that they could get titles and chieftaincies and paramountcies and so on and so forth. But you have the nerve to tell me my fight here is done? That all the labor, all the work, all the effort that my ancestors were forced to put in, I'm just supposed to leave that fruit for everyone else to eat? Are you mad? I would love it if Dynas was to come on my broadcast. I made it clear to him he is more than welcome. Family, we have to understand one thing and one thing only. that it has been long past time for ADOS, us, the American descendants of slavery, to set our agenda. We are not beholden to anyone else for anything else. We owe no one nothing. If we align with you, it is because we choose to align with you, not because of some mystical made up tie that you try to use that says that binds us, that we see no evidence for. Going forward, if you want our alliance, you will have to do what everyone else will have to do with ADOS. You are going to have to come to us and you are going to have to make an exchange. You are going to have to negotiate. You are going to have to treat us with respect. You are going to have to treat us with dignity. Because if you come here thinking that all you have to do is just lay up under the white folks and be their devil's food cake, all of the blackness and none of the justice claim, and think we owe you anything, you have another thing coming. And it is as simple as that. Whether y'all believe we was indigenous, I believe some Africans were here before we got here. Not very many, not to the extent that Team Indigenous is talking about, but some due to the currents and stuff like that from Africa and South America, right? Whether you believe that, we're the tribe of Judah. And again, I see things that the Hebrew Israelites are talking about that are suggestive, and I respect them, right? But regardless of whether you believe any of that, our ultimate lineage that we know for a certainty runs right through the motherfucking plantations from 1619 to 2019. We have paid the blood price to be here. And now you have these people tell you that after you have paid the blood price, after your ancestors have given everything to build up this nation and all of the fruits thereof, everybody else should get the drink from the rivers of milk and honey except for us. Everybody else can come over here and sit right on top of the golden mountain but us. No, 1,000 times no. I will not dishonor my ancestors by even entertaining any sort of thing. If after we get our due, if after we're able to press home this justice claim, some of you want to go to Africa, please feel free. I am not anti-African. I am not anti-diaspora. I'm not anti-anybody. I'm pro-ADOS all day, every day, 24/7. If you want to go to Ghana and get you a piece of that beautiful red soil there, go for it. But understand this, you go nowhere as the beggar. ADOS is the key that unlocks the door for every group on this planet, quiet as it's kept. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. America has long been the linchpin of what people like to refer to as global white supremacy. Anyone who disputes that is a fool and doesn't know enough to even be a part of the conversation. So if we're here pressing home our justice claim, and the moment we're successful at remediation, restoration, and repair, and we close this deal and put paid to it, that changes everything for diasporan Africans as well as continental Africans. That changes everything. America is the linchpin. We win here. Africans, both continental and diasporan, win everywhere else. Now, I need you to understand something, ADOS folk. Hear me and hear me clearly. your Pan-African friends, brothers and sisters, whether they're African, whether they're, diasporan, or whether they're American, they know this. They know that you're the key. And if you really want to know why we're getting so much smoke, that's precisely why. Because as ADOS goes, blackness goes. Nobody wants to fucking admit that. You mean to tell me that the descendants of slaves truly dictate the terms for everybody on the planet? You're damn right we do. It's the truth. It's the truth. We're the linchpin. We're the key, I should say. We're the ones who can snatch out the linchpin of global white supremacy. But they want to tell us it's time for us to leave when the fight just getting good. When the fight's just getting good, they want to tell us to split. Not today. Not today. Little lady, you know what I love about the story of the Exodus? When they left Egypt, they left that mug with resources. If you want to leave ADOS folk, if you feel like Africa is calling you, right? Your heart belongs in the continent. Fight with us. Let us get our due. Let's go ahead and put this justice claim to bed, and I'll help you pack your shit. But don't sit here and tell me to benefit Africa by leaving the fight that my ancestors started the moment they set foot on these shores, especially when the fight's just getting good. I don't know how many of y'all are scrappers, but I grew up in a neighborhood where scrapping is natural as breathing. And a good scrap, everybody know what it looked like. You got two, one staring at the other one, both got their fists up. Couple of nicks, couple of scratches, maybe a little bleeding, but ain't nobody backing down. One says to the other one, "You done, nigga?" The other one look at him in the eye and say, "Done? I'm just getting started." They want us to abandon the fight right at the moment when it's just getting good. When we have the means to have the political education in place. There's my brother, proud Mississippian. It's been a long time, but I'm surely glad to see you. Welcome. Right? We getting our political education, political 101 and politics 102 in play. We're understanding the bill of goods we've been sold under the auspices of banking black and buying black and black capitalism. You got brothers who grew up in the PJs reading reports from the Federal Reserve and are not only reading them, but understanding them and communicating the information to our people. The fight is just getting good. We just putting our hands up and ready to start throwing dukes. You got black folk that have never been politically engaged before talking about primarying. People who claim to be advocates for us, but who aren't. You have people who have spent their entire lives trying to put on a facade, an ersatz abundance that they really don't have, who have decided to tell the truth about their circumstances, not just to themselves, but to you. So that you can see the ADOS brother and sister, you are not the only one who is living the reality that you are living. There has never been a better time to be us in this country. But hey, we're finished here. We're done. There's no chance for us. Separation is the only solution. Huh? Tell you what. Because I'm going to open up the phone lines here shortly, right? Phone lines like I got multiple. I'm going to open up the phone line here shortly. But before I do that, I'll make African immigrants, diasporan immigrants, pan-Africanists, anybody who hates ADOS, I'll make them a deal. We'll leave America when y'all stop coming here. Bet? Bet that? I'll pack my shit. Mark Black, your man, one who loves you. I will pack my shit, take my family, and split when y'all stop coming here. You want to know what the end game for ADOS is? Shout out to my elder brother, BGS Itmore, by the way. Welcome to your broadcast and happy hump day to you, my dear brother. The end game for ADOS is to have our justice claim paid. That bill stamped, paid in full. What we decide to do after that as individuals, as a collective, it is because we are deciding to do it. No more, no less. If we decide to aid Africa, it is because we have a desire to aid Africa. Not because they've somehow convinced us through mind tricks that we're tied together in ties that we see no evidence to support. And that's just real talk. Black Dog, welcome to the Angry Black Sheep. We are glad to have you. Stay around. Right, August? Everybody, okay, don't even get me started. Separate to where? When I was on the broadcast the other day, I allowed them their arguments. I said, okay, so we're supposed to create a nation, right? Nation, infrastructure, so on and so forth. Fine. Where? Name me one place that's saying, yes, here we have set aside a specific land base. It don't even have to be the greatest land. It could be marginal. It could be sub-marginal. Hell, if it's a big enough land base, it could even be desert. We can find a way to make it work. But who, where on this planet that people have said, we have a place set aside for ADOS. Here's your land base. All you need to do is come in, put in the work, put in your infrastructure, build you a nation. Ask them where. No answer. There's no answer because there's no country. They tell you that we need to separate from America. Do they talk about the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in foreign aid your American black ass sends to their native countries to support them? I did a whole broadcast where I talked about American foreign aid. How many hundreds of millions of dollars that Nigeria gets from the United States? How many hundreds of millions of dollars South Africa gets from the United States? So, family, it actually gets worse. They not only want us to come there with no guarantees of any type of status, of citizenship, of a land base, of assistance with building infrastructure or anything like that, but you're already subsidizing them. You are already subsidizing them. But you gotta go. Your fight here in America, y'all done. You niggas is just delusional. You stupid. You been done. Y'all niggas is cooked. It's over. It's a wrap. It's cut. You're done. Huh? So my deal stands, family. I, Mark, Aloysius, Justice, Black, will pack my shit when not another African, another Caribbean, Caribbean, not another anybody from anywhere else come here. When they stop trying to come here, I will leave. There it is. That's a great deal, don't you think? I mean, if America's truly, if ADOS is truly done in America, right? Prove it. Y'all stop coming here. You stop coming here. Stop asking me and mine to subsidize you and yours. Petition your governments to refuse to accept foreign aid from the United States. Show me just how done we are here in the United States. If I'm done and we supposed to be Pan-African, doesn't that mean by extension that we're all done here in the United States? Oh, but no, that's not what they're saying. You ADOS people are done in America. America's screwed you, stupid. Yeah, but we Nigerians, we gonna be all right though. So much for Pan-Africanism, right? You ADOS folk ain't got a hope in hell of getting them white folks to cut you no checks. But we Somalis, so we straight. Every time they speak, they put the lie to the whole idea of what they call Pan-Africanism. They only include us where they need our numbers and they need our efforts, like mules. I can't speak for you, but I am tired of muling for other people. I am tired of being a hewer of wood and a drawer of water, putting on my Superman cape for every other group while I watch them pillage me blind and do nothing to aid me in my justice claim. It ain't gonna happen anymore, not on my watch. So with that, family, it's time to open up the phone. There's the number, 425-296-1980, right? If you want to speak on this topic, if you have something you want to add, go ahead. I'd love to hear from you. Family, by the way, thank you so much for your love, your support. I tell you every broadcast because I mean it, every broadcast. I have so much esteem for my subscribers, even the haters, right? I do what I do because of you. No more, no less. That's right, August. We are not their beasts of burden. Yeah, I mean, I don't think, see, I'm not willing to assume malice in the case of Dynast, right? Which was primarily why I was so polite, right? Because had I thought that his lines of questioning and things like that was malicious, it would have been a completely different conversation. But what I will say is that just as they have questions for us, we have questions for them. Now, ADOS can provide answers to the questions as to why we're advocating for what we're advocating and fighting for what we're fighting for. We're just simply demanding that Pan-Africanists and other so-called interested parties do the same for us. Establish clearly your premises. We're no longer accepting on faith the idea of Pan-Africanism. We're asking them to show and prove. Bring your evidence that this is in some way beneficial to ADOS folk. Because if you cannot bring your evidence, then we don't have any obligation to adhere to a damn thing you're saying. Anything asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Family, hit your man up. The line is open, 425-296-1980. I don't know the full agenda that Africa has for ADOS folk, but what we have learned during this broadcast is this. We have learned, family, that whatever the agenda is that Africa has for ADOS, it clearly means that we have to continue to work in Africa's interests in spite of our own collective benefit. And also, they have the right to dictate and set the terms as to what our identity, our status, and our place is with them. I can't speak for you, but that sounds suspiciously like the setup we already have here in America. So why do we need to go to the continent for that? America only values ADOS folk for our utility, and they claim the right to set the terms and dictate the tenor of the relationship. So why would I trade in a devil I know for a devil I don't? I'm going to give it another couple of minutes. I'm hoping somebody gives us a call again, 425-296-1980. You know me, I don't want to preach at you. I want this to be a conversation. So if you feel like you have something to contribute on this topic, I would love to hear from you. Share with your family your ideas. This is our broadcast channel, not mine. And thank you for the support, family. I hope to continue to speak facts because, again, unlike them, I am not married to an agenda. I'm married to the data, to the facts. I'm not closed off from pan-Africanism. If pan-Africanism can... Oh, here we go. We got a call right here. Caller, caller from 561. Hold up a second. I've only got one call at a time, right? So caller from 561 is your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Yo, this your boy Made in Dave. What's going on,
Hey,
Mark?
what's good, baby?
What's going on, man? Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you, man. I'm not an ADOS. I'm a Bahamian American,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm an ally, but I experienced the full ADOS life. My mom moved in Miami
Mm-hmm.
when I was, not when I was a kid, but she moved to Miami when she was a kid. She was 15 years old.
Right.
And I was born in Miami. I was raised in Liberty City my whole life, and I experienced the full experience of an ADOS
Right. You
life.
similar you
So
similar to our Miss Denny, made. Remember the interview that I did with Miss Denny? She talked about she fights for our justice claim as an ally because she doesn't literally see any difference between herself and us. So I could definitely recognize
yeah,
where you're coming from.
yeah. And my mom never really told us that like she never did like she always wanted to be accepted. She never like it wasn't never a difference between us and regular blacks and regular Americans. So I
Hmm.
mean, the I'm sorry, man. I'm
No,
supposed to
take your
be
time,
asleep,
brother.
man.
Take
But
your
when I
time. Do
when
your
I hear you,
thing.
man, I gotta get up, man. I gotta work tonight, but man, I gotta talk, man. But yeah, we was raised just like any other Black American, and you know, I feel like you're a mouthpiece for me, man. That's why I listen to you, man. I respect you so much, and I heard you on Dinah's show, man. And man, I felt like he schooled him, man. Like, but he wasn't trying to hear it. And I respect your mannerism, the way he was talking to him, because they had to respect that, I think. And, it kills me that he wants to sound like an ally when it comes to the check, but he also seems like he just wants us to flee from America, and it seems like he wants us to go to Africa without a plan. So that's what kills me.
Here's the thing with Dynast, right? And it's the perennial issue that anybody with a foot in two worlds has, right? Your loyalty becomes divided. Now, this is not, again, this is not an assumption of malice on our brother's part, right? This is a statement of fact. Dynast, now being a prince, right, in a chieftaincy in Nigeria, and so on and so forth, right? He has interests that align with the interests of his new family, right? The chieftaincy. Miss Denny, if you can find that interview with oh, I think she passed out. Let me see if I can get the link to y'all for the interview, family. Give me just a sec, all right? But um he has his foot in two worlds, bruh. And because of that, right, it is going to be more difficult for him to maneuver a space where we are both clearly stating that this is what we, this is what we own, right? This is what we're all about. You feel me? So, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not assuming malice on the part of Dynast, but I am saying that at
Yeah, I'm not.
some
I'm
point,
not either.
his trying to straddle the fence, so to speak, is not necessarily going to be to his benefit if it means that he won't be able to clearly state or delineate, right, where his stance is for ADOS, because he is ADOS. He's an African
Yeah, I
prince
see that
and
because he was critical
ADOS.
himself. He was critical before on one of his shows too. So and then I think he kind of backtracked. I guess when he got pushback from I guess from Africans. I guess I don't know, but he was critical against Pan African
He was. As a matter of fact,
against
I thought
ADOS.
those were some of the best broadcasts that Dynast had ever done, because I think you can have a love for people, right? You can go to Africa, make your friends and connections and new family ties and all of that with Africa, and I think that's a beautiful thing, right? I love seeing him go over there and explore. His ties to Wudun and so on and so forth, right? I respected the hell out of that. But my thing is this. Um, the vast majority of ADOS folk, by the way, shout out to $316. Welcome to the Angry Black Sheep. The vast majority of ADOS folk ain't trying to split. And that's something that Pan Africanists need to come to grips with. They can try and shame us and say that we love white folks and we just want to better his position under white supremacy and so on and so forth as they want. But the fact is that even if we are able to press home our justice claim, and we will, the vast majority of ADOS folk will not leave America. We just simply won't. This is home,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so to try and belittle and shame us for that fact it's a tactic. It's a ploy and a tactic, and it's a shoddy one. Because anybody with
yeah,
any degree or background in rhetoric and debate can see right through it. You know what I mean?
yeah. And another thing I wanted to touch on, I can't be a mouthpiece for everyone in South Florida, but I just want you guys to know as ADOS people that you will have a lot of allies once ADOS becomes mainstream. Because, I grew up around a lot of, I'm from South Florida and
Mm-hmm.
it's a melting pot. I mean, there's a lot of Haitians, a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Bahamians, and man, I'm not sensing anyone trying to, deflect or just come against it. I don't see that happening, man. I
I'm
just
gonna
can't
be
wait till it
honest with you. I
happens.
think most of the
I
pushback
know
is
there's gonna be a
online,
lot
bruh.
of that's gonna be died.
I put that on everything. I think most of the pushback is these wannabe pseudo intellectuals, these so-called conscious woke pro-black motherfuckers. That's where I think really most of the pushback is coming from, because even though there is a degree of separation and rancor between ADOS and many African and diasporan communities, in the main, when we get a chance to get in each other's faces, we can find points of agreement real easy. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, think about this. ADOS came out in support of Amadou Diallo when he was murdered by the police. He's not ADOS. We stood up for him, right? We came out in support of Abner Louima when he was victimized by the police. He's Haitian. We didn't stress it. You see what I'm saying? So, in point of fact, I believe that we have a lot more potential for alliance out there. The thing is this: we as ADOS, though, cannot count on them. One thing that we have learned throughout this
Yeah,
transformational moment, brother, and I'm certain that you'll agree, is that allyship is only worth the efforts we see made. All the lip service in the world don't mean shit. I
Yeah, yeah,
hear
yeah,
what you're saying, but I listen to what you do. And
yeah.
ADOS is no more just accepting on faith anybody's claims of allianceship. We're asking and demanding, just as they ask and demand us when we want to be a part of their groups and so on and so forth, that they show and prove, that they make clear their alliance through their actions. And if they're not willing to do that, then we don't want to hear a damn thing they have to say.
Yeah.
You feel
Right
me?
on. Yeah.
Brother, I know you need to get your
All right,
rest, man.
man.
I'm going to
Let's
give you the
go, man.
last
I'm gonna
word.
get some more callers, man. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you, brother.
All right, I'm gonna let you go, Mark. I'm gonna let you get some more
Yes,
callers
sir.
in, man.
Hey, thank you so
I'm
much,
talking
man.
to you
I
later,
look
man.
forward to talking with you again. You are welcome as always, man. Get your rest and you have yourself a great one.
All right, Mark.
That's right, fam. Akai Gurley, Botham Jean. Like, we have never hesitated to say that no one should have to experience what we traditionally have had to face here in the United States. Right? So, all this guff about we need to leave because our fight's over. No, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. And besides, thank you, David. It's a pure fact. We have no permanent allies anyway, only permanent interests. Our interests as ADOS people will always align. Got a call coming in. Let's take this one. Caller from 601. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
How you doing, Brother Mark? This is Brother Keith out of Mississippi.
Brother Keith, hey, the Mississippian. How are you, my
Yes,
brother?
sir.
Long time no hear from.
It's been a while, man. Still in the fight, though.
Yes, sir. What can I?
Yes, sir.
What you got for me today? Speak a good word for us.
Hey, man. I came in late on the stream, but when I seen the title, it's definitely a on time thing. And the thing about ADOS, man, that I love is exposing enemies within and without. So,
Absolutely.
and Dynas, I love the brother. And I probably have said some harsh things here in the last couple of days. It's no, I don't hold back on that. But when he came out initially, in support of ADOS, and he made the calls to the embassies trying to prove that
Oh,
hey,
that was
there
a
is nothing
great
set up.
broadcast, bro. That was a great
Yeah,
broadcast. Keep talking, bro.
yeah,
I'm listening. I'm gonna come right back. Keep talking. I can hear
sure
you.
enough. All right. Then just I guess as the pressure mounted, I just have a suspicion. And I don't want to put it, make any false allegations, but he's making a good penny from, having the platform that he has. And I thought he could have been very beneficial and a bridge between the pan-Africanists and ADOS, having the things that the work he's done over the years, documented work, and I think he could have been a great bridge, but he missed a great opportunity, to bring it together.
So, brother Keith, do you believe then that essentially, right,
Mhm.
Dynas is kind of torn by the fact that his primary audience appears to be people who, for whatever reason, have an antipathy to ADOS advocacy and ADOS proponents?
I believe that's exactly the reason, and that's exactly the reason. And
That
it's
makes
sad to
sense.
watch, because there's a lot of misinformation about what we stand for. Some of it, is ignorance, but some of it is willful ignorance.
Agreed.
And some people have this solipsistic, their worldview, and they're unable to accept anything about anything other than what they believe. And their belief about America, and you made a great point that no matter if we even went to Africa, America, the American presence and the capitalistic mindset, is still there, and you have to question why are they leaving to come here. So you
Exactly.
made, man, you made a great analogy. Hey, we'll go over there when you stop coming over here, and I had to clap for that.
I appreciate it because to
I had
me
to
it
clap
just
for that.
makes sense, bro. Like, how is it?
Yeah.
That's like you walking up in my house and telling me that I got black mold and the pipes are bad and I got roaches and rats and all this stuff and I need to move out. So then I'm getting ready to pack my stuff to move out and I find out you signing a lease to move in. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, well,
That's
how does
love.
this work? You know?
Well, yeah. Hey man, you've been a strong soldier, man, and you're a very intelligent brother. I love the way you frame things, and I appreciate your intelligence, and I wish you much success in your personal journey with YouTube. But with ADOS, man, we need more of you. We need more people to get on board, and I believe as you know, once people start seeing it become more mainstream, you'll get more people coming in. But I believe the family that we have, man, we've been standing strong.
Oh yeah,
There's
absolutely.
there's no attack that we haven't knocked down, that we haven't faced, and I say attacks because that's what they've been.
True. But you know why that
Yeah,
is, right? Because we built our foundation on rock. We built our foundation on
absolutely,
the data. We knew
absolutely.
coming right out of the gate that if we built our foundation in this transformational moment as ADOS on anything other than the damn facts, we were going to get eaten alive.
Yeah, no emotionalism, man. And we do tend to get emotional because, and I say this quite a bit, ADOS is not just a movement, it's who we are. And a lot of
Exactly.
people have such a problem accepting that we are American descendants of slavery, and for the people that say, hey, I can accept the fact that I'm a descendant of slavery, but the American part, man, I can't trace my lineage back past, thankfully, to 1835, South Carolina. I'm blessed to be able to say, hey, I can trace an ancestor, great-great-great-grandfather to South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, it's a black hole.
Thank you. I mean, I was able to trace my lineage back to a ancestor, one of my black ancestors to like 1860 something or another,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And then I was able to trace some of the white ancestors, the ones that owned my black ancestors back as far as the 1500s in
Wow.
Ireland, right? But with that said, um it has become clear to me that as long as we frame ADOS not as a movement, if you notice, I never use the word movement. When I speak about
Right.
ADOS, brother, what do I say?
You say it's
Transformational
family.
moment, right? And the reason why I say that is because a movement can be broken, but our lineage is our lineage. Our heritage is our heritage. You might not
Yep.
like that you're ADOS, but you can no more deny it than you can deny that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hey,
So,
when you go to my Twitter page, the proud Mississippian, the beautiful lady that's on my profile picture, that's my great-great-grandmother who I got to know for a good portion of my life.
that's what's up,
She was
man.
112 when she passed,
Woo, Lord. That's what I'm
born in
talking about.
1884. And I wish was just able to have just one conversation with her, and she wasn't born in slavery,
Hmm.
the prior to 1865, but
Right.
she lived that life
Yep.
in Jim Crow, Alabama,
Yep.
same county where George Wallace is from.
Yep.
Got a road called Hanging Tree Road. If you go on Google Maps, you can still see it.
I'm gonna
So,
I'm gonna tell you,
you
bro.
know,
All them fools trying to
yeah,
tell us that slavery's in the past and we should just forget about it. Don't understand that many of us have family members that actually that lived that life, that was
yeah,
enslaved. You feel me? Right? So like
absolutely.
we talk about like that was so long ago. No, and then we can't even stop without addressing the knock-on effects: debt peonage, convict leasing, separate but equal, or Jim Crow under Plessy v. Ferguson, and all of it. We can't go without talking about the lynchings, the redlining, the pillaging of the Freedmen's Bank, the loss of a government impetus behind Reconstruction efforts, the denial of a land base under Special Order 15 by Sherman, right, giving us land and so
Absolutely.
on and so like miss us with this bullshit that we're just talking about slavery. No, America owes us a debt that is 400 years and counting,
And still counting.
and still
Absolutely.
counting, and that interest is racking up. So we got work to do talking about dipping out. We got work to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
going nowhere.
Nope. I gotta fight it in my family still. Just you start talking the numbers, you start talking the data. People seem to get sleepy-eyed, like, oh man, I'm getting tired. So, just finding different ways. But like Antonio says, we coming. It's here.
Absolutely.
And once you can tie a real life situation to the numbers, people tend to get it.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
a
I
matter
mean,
of time. Yeah.
2053 is approaching. Winter is
Yeah.
here. It's not coming. It's here. If we don't
Absolutely.
make this push now, if we don't press home this justice claim now, we may never have an opportunity to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. This is the I'm 44 years old, and I always use the analogy we're Generation X.
Yep.
X is transition, X is unknown, X is, you can put a lot of definitions to X. We can remember the time before crack, and then we would live through the transition of crack,
Yep.
and now we're here, so it's our, and not to play the generational game because everybody is important in this fight. But Generation X, we went our whole lives without a movement. We were playing, we were kids through most of it,
Yep.
but now is our time.
I
And I
agree.
think about my children. I think about my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, if I'm ever so blessed.
I'm
I do this
gonna
for
show
them.
you
It's an
right now,
everyday
brother,
thing.
the reason why I fight.
Yes, sir.
Here he is right here. That's my little man, my bug man.
All right now.
You see what I'm
What's
saying?
up, bub, man?
My little bug. That's why I fight. And I fight for your children. And I fight for your
Thank you,
children
sir.
and your children. See what I'm saying? Look, we may not see the end of this fight. That's not even the point, right? There's an old
Right.
saying, planting seeds for trees whose shade you may never sit under, right?
Speak
This
it, brother.
justice claim is to ensure that our children don't have to fight.
Brother, this was a great call. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you. I'm not going to hold up the line, but we in it. We
Yep,
here.
we in it to win it, damn it. We in it to win it.
All
As
right.
always, a pleasure, my dear brother. I love you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much,
Love you
man.
too,
Don't
brother. All
don't
right.
be a stranger. I know where to find you.
Absolutely. Hope we can get some gates one of these days.
Yes, sir. All right,
Absolutely.
sir.
Peace
Peace.
out.
Yeah, family. Here's the thing, David. I'm gonna have to defer to the wisdom of my elders in this particular matter that you're bringing up, and that is this. John Henry Clark said, I only debate my equals. All others I teach. I'm open for discussion, for teaching, but so far nobody's coming to me with any data. Nobody's coming to me with any hard facts to establish their positions and so on and so forth. What they're coming to me is with meta analyses and so on and so forth from their studies of history and that stuff has validity, don't get me wrong. But without the scholarship and the data to back it up, I'm good. Like, I don't go for drama for the sake of drama, debate for the sake of debate. I actually think debates are designed to change hearts and minds, not just to hear a bunch of pseudo intellects talk. And I don't enter in debates with people who I know when they walk. Well, got a call right here. Caller from 346. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, what's this is Antoine. I'm calling from Houston.
Hey, brother, how you be?
I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, another day down, man. Another day down. What's on your mind? Talk to us, black man.
Not much. I saw you on Donna's on his feed. So when I saw, I liked how you pressed on him, and I liked the way you played it because you didn't you stayed under control or whatever, and it was a good debate. But I agree with you about not going back to Africa because a lot of part I don't believe we came from Africa. So when I ask you what question I got is when you say ADOS payments, how do you think we should get those payments?
That's a
Like,
great. That's a
in
great.
what form should the payments come in?
That's a great question. So that, of course, for me has evolved, right? So I've said different things before, so don't think I'm being wish-washy or flippy floppy. It's as I get better data and so on and so forth, I change my position, which makes sense. That's what a rational person is supposed to do. And where I'm at now is I believe that a substantial portion of any potential reparations package should be cash distribution to the American descendants of slavery. Now, I would also like to see some sort of non-governmental, fully funded, independently managed trust with leaders that we elect through plebiscite, because with the advent of the internet, we don't need everybody to live in the same area for all ADOS folk to have a vote, right? We can simply set up a plebiscite website and vote in leaders and things like that who will manage the trust on our behalf to have a capital base to grow on, right? So a great deal of our reparations will initially be just going to heal us from the brokenness that we're in. So we're going to have to expend quite a bit of whatever it is we get right out the gate to address lineage therapy, indebtedness, broken homes, lack of resources and land base. So that means that a reparations package in America would be the greatest stimulus package for the country America has ever seen. Because immediately you'd have approximately 38 million folk who need resources, who need access to shit. You see what I'm saying? But once that was over, we would still need to have some sort of capital base in order to start to accumulate capital for intergenerational wealth transfers. And that's where I'm at as far as what I think the breakdown or the distribution of whatever ultimately results from our justice claim.
Okay. So my thing is this: if they give us money, and then 2 years later they cause the economy to go into a depression, then all that money we got pretty much get wiped away, right?
That could happen in any case. So yes, you're absolutely right. With that said, though, we have a better chance of acquiring many of the things that we need with money than we do without it, right? Remember, brother, anything that is given to you can be taken away. Okay, whether because some people say, nope, damn the checks, we want land, right, and so on and so forth, right, and so on. I get it. Whatever can be given can be taken away. Now, you give us money, we can go out and acquire land bases. And not just here in America. Like other Americans, we can invest in other countries, right? You know, we can have homes in other nations or places in other nations, or invest in agriculture and stuff like that in other places. We're not just bound to America. The American dollar spends everywhere in the globe, currently anyway, right? So that's number one. Number two, by us having access to currency to purchase the things we need, we don't have to sit here and be dictated to as to how the reparations is supposed to be spent, right? Because if you look, a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, I'll support reparations if we're talking about free education, free healthcare, free so on and so forth. I don't give a damn about any of that. No American gets told how they're to utilize their resources. That's all part and parcel of being American. Being American means that I do whatever the hell I want with my stuff, right? But when it comes to
Right.
ADOS folk, everybody's always got something to say. Like when they talk about reparations, the first thing everybody wants to bring up is criminal justice reform, as if all of us have been locked up in prison and have criminal records of this, that, and the third. No, we are disproportionately, as a portion of our population, disproportionately affected by the criminal justice system. But simply reforming the criminal justice system does nothing for the majority of ADOS, right? They say, oh, we should make sure the ADOS give free education. Well, great. Well, what good is an education when you got ADOS people who are educated now who get out and have to work fast food jobs and drive Uber because there's no employment opportunities? And we saw with under the Barack Obama administration, SBA loans for small business development and ADOS folk actually dropped. He gave fewer loans to ADOS people than Shrub did. Right? So I don't
Right.
want these piecemeal bullshit programs, pardon my language, that do not universally address the needs of every ADOS person and their families. The only thing that will address the needs of all of us is something that is universal to all of us. And the one thing that all of us need is wealth. We need currency. We need bread. You pay us our due. And if we decide we want education, we then, just like every other American, can afford to get a damned education. You pay us our due. And if we need health care and therapy and so on and so forth, like every other American, we can go out and acquire therapy and so on and so forth, right? But I'll be damned if they tell us that they'll only support paying us our justice claim if we adhere to whatever little advisos and quotas and quid pro quos and so on and so forth that they want us to adhere to. Hell no, right? Like every other American, when we get our due, it is up to us to determine how it is that we want to utilize it for our individual, familial, community, and collective benefit. And nobody has to say on that but us.
Okay. Oh, okay, but see, the way I see it is like a cash payment. I feel like it's like getting a lot of commissary in prison. Like we still be under their government. We still be like going to their schools. That the curriculum that they'll be teaching us, choosing to teach us. Like we still won't have no power. We'll just have money. We'll still be living under their rulership. And I think like we'll still be subject to police brutality. We'll still be subject to a lot of things. And like so like I feel like the only way to truly be free is to have our own land base. I think land is the only thing possible.
I would
And
be
then I know
I
the
would be the
question
first
is
one to
where.
agree with you on that. I think at some point ADOS folk are going to have to make land acquisition a primary focus. As a matter of fact, brother, on my old channel, I actually did a broadcast where I talked about 5 different ways to acquire a land base, even where we are right now, without our justice claim having been honored, right? I believe that land ownership is the start, the foundation for any people. But I would put it to you, brother, that to argue that somehow or another living under the auspices of America is just so deleterious that we simply can't do it would be false. Everyone else wants to come here to live under this system. If you travel outside of America and see some of the governmental structures and systems that exist in other countries, you would jump on the first thing smoking back to America and kiss the damn tarmac when you got off the plane for all of its warts, flaws, and foibles. America is one of the better places to be on this planet, right? This is why people are trying to come here. It's not just the economic opportunity. Economics is no good if you can't keep it, right? What good is it in building up a big store of wealth when some warlord can come out of the hinterlands and just come take it from you? We don't have that shit happening in America, right? So I would say, brother, and I'm certain that you would agree that whatever reparations encompass some degree of protective status for ADOS would also be beneficial to fight for too as well. In other words, you're right. It does us no good to have money if we can't protect it, if we can't defend it, right? I believe that a politician should put up a bill stating that murder under color of law should be a mandatory death penalty offense if found guilty. I think that barring that, we should have the right to address law enforcement by shooting back if we feel our life is in danger or being threatened and no crime has been clearly established, right? So again, we can have that discussion about what constitutes protection and security for ADOS folk, and I think that's a valid conversation to have.
And I agree. I think America is the best land in the world. I don't think there's nothing like it. Like, it's the only land that from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the North to the South, that you just got cities, suburbs, farmland. Like, nobody's staying in like storage type stuff. Like, where you see other like countries, like they might have a nice city, but then you will see people like living in swamps. Like, I don't think there's no country like America. And I actually had like an Asian friend. He told me, he said like he loves his home, but it's nothing like America.
Yeah.
So I'm not advocating leaving America, but because I think this is our land. I'm advocating like reclaiming our land.
I agree.
Because that's the only way we could be free. And I think if anybody like don't want to be under our land, then they should leave. Like, we shouldn't leave.
I agree. As a matter of fact, brother, look, I've done some research. I'll give you a freebie. The state of Wyoming has about 600,000 people roughly, right? If 1 million ADOS moved into Wyoming, which is great farmland, great grazing land, and so on and so forth, we could immediately change the face of everything. We could take over the entire state's infrastructure. All of the governmental positions, sheriff, black, mayor, black, city councils, black, legislature, black, so on and so forth. We could do that today. This is prior to any justice claim being honored, right? So yeah, I agree with you. At some point, but I just want to be clear that those people who are trying to claim black nationalism, that's untenable. No nation that I'm aware of is going to just willy-nilly shard itself off and have another nation living within its borders, right? They have the native, or what are called the Native Americans, or the the Indians, or whatever the case may be, but their population is greatly diminished from what it was before white folks got here, and they've made it the reservations and stuff manageable. So yeah, they're separate nations, but they essentially live under the same damn system as every other American does, with the right to come and go and so on and so forth, and vote and this, that, and the third. They just have their own little tribal things, or whatever the case may be. You dig? So I'm okay with us starting to acquire land bases all over America to build places that we can gain a foothold, that we control the infrastructure of, the political system of, and so on and so forth. But that is about as far as it's going to go. America will not allow us to just say, plant whatever flag we decide we want to plant and say this, this land is our land, and start building armies and shit. That's not gonna happen. And anybody who thinks that is, I don't know what they smoking, but they need to share that shit. Brother, I'm gonna let you have the last word.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree with most of what you're saying. I just think we need a land. I do think this is our land, and I think if we have to fight for it, then we need to fight for it.
Right.
But if I would like to talk to you again about the because like I could prove that the slave trade didn't happen, and nobody can prove besides like some books that it did happen. There's no physical evidence of it happened. So one day I'd like to have that conversation with you.
Join my Discord, right? We'll set up a time where we could just chop via Discord, right? We could chop via voice or text or whatever is more convenient for you. Links in the description field to my Discord. Go on there and sign up, join it. You can access it via your phone, your home computer, a tablet, whatever. And we can definitely have us a conversation.
Okay.
All right.
That works.
Brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much for your call. Great call, and peace to you and yours, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You got it, brother. Peace to you. Family, we coming up on what? Almost 2 hours, right? And I don't want to make this a long one. So I want to thank all of my callers. I know some of you tried to call in and probably wasn't able to get through. I've got time for maybe one more call, right? So if you want to call in, now's the time to do it. I'll take one more, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But family, Listen to this. Every caller you hear is telling you that we are awakening politically, economically, psychologically, in every way. The fight is just getting good. The last damn thing we need, family, is to be listening to people who's trying to tell us to stop fighting. Caller from 917. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
I'm Jay. I'm calling from North Jersey, New York area.
Jay, what's good, baby?
What's going on, my brother?
Shit,
Hey,
it's
man.
your world, man. I'm just in it for a minute.
Absolutely. So, I was going to say, just being here in the Northeast, I think we have a little more of a stronger tie to the African diaspora than the rest of the country, just because that's where people come to. I mean, it's the metropolis, New York, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. So my father's from the Highlands, and he was a black man from St. Vincent, but he was a black man first.
Yeah.
And I can say anybody that's on the fence about what they're feeling, or the whole ADOS thing, you really have to get up off of that and really be honest about it, because I don't want to really throw the sisters on the bus, but a lot of sisters married West Indian African brothers. That was just straight up Uncle fucking Tom. I'm in my mid-40s now, so what I'm seeing with the younger people that I'm working with, because again, I work in New York, is that the offspring of these children through these unions is mostly sisters getting knocked up and marrying these guys. And ideology is not a female thing. So the ideology that's being pushed on the women is a Uncle Tom freaking ideology. And it's time right now to make the strike, because these people are becoming more and more. The people like myself that are Pan-African children are becoming more and more in higher numbers. And you really have to be careful, man, not to feel bad, not to waver, because a lot of people is wavering. Look at your man Diamond with this. It broke my heart with Diamond. It really does, because I thought he was that dude, but he's been a hoe for a while. I've been seeing some whole shit from a while. I mean, he's been shaky really for me from day one, just because he was on some African shit and waving his finger at us. We should just go and push going to Africa, and nobody gives a fuck about us in Africa. They don't even consider us the same. They'll accept our money.
I won't speak for Dynas. What I will say though is that all we have to do is look at the evidence, right? Again, we have no place in Africa with a clear standard, right? I'm not talking about a desire or a wish or nice speeches and rhetoric. No, I'm talking about with a clear path for citizenship, infrastructure, land access, resources. There's not a single country on the continent that has made that push. Now, Benin has issued an apology for its role in the slave trade, and I shout out Benin for that, right? A whole series of chieftains got together and made apology for that, right? That's better than what we've gotten in America, right? Now, that's
apology
cool.
comes with cash to me. Apologies, cash. If you ain't coming apologies,
I'm with you on that one. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is that that's a step in a direction. You feel me? I would love to see.
Absolutely.
Give me one nation. I don't give a damn who it is, right? One nation on the continent that's willing to flex whatever muscle it's got for ADOS. I don't think that's too damn much to ask for. And until we see that, it is foolish for us to sit here and feed off of what essentially constitutes feel-good rhetoric and glittering generalities.
Yeah.
That's all I'm essentially saying. It's like, year of return, great. Well, where's the infrastructure? I asked questions about
nothing. We're halfway through the year.
Yeah, exactly. We're into June, and I've heard nothing. I've heard nothing.
Just come spend some bread. That's it. Come spend some bread.
Yeah, they want you to come out there to the slave fortresses and stuff, so they could charge you money to see where they shipped off your ancestors. I'll be damned.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's like no respect, and it's like when we grew up out here, a lot of the folks came with the bullshit and they got smacked up. You know how it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before the guns got crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
We snatch you up. And a lot of these folks got snatched up, and they done took that for the rest of their life to raise their kids that way and truly become an enemy from within. I mean, a lot of, and I'm not, some guy from, I think he's from Kansas City. Like, I'm sure you don't have this population of foreign black people you have around me. I'm sure they ain't got out that far. Because I give my brothers and sisters from out there in the Midwest and the West, they'll get on your ass a lot quicker than we do out here. I think because we done got watered down to having Jamaican daddies and to having Trinidadian daddies.
No, I mean, the thing.
Let me finish
Bro.
that point. Because you had to make an agreement to even get into America. You had to make an agreement that on a cultural level that you wasn't gonna come over here and start no trouble when we was starting trouble. We forget that. We were starting trouble when immigration came. So they wasn't coming on some backup. My father was, but they wasn't coming on some backup shit.
Nope.
They wasn't riding with us. They was coming over and they was kind of putting their name black on the freaking the test for the transit, the test for the railroad, the test for the bus and shit, and getting getting the benefits of whatever the equal opportunity without giving any support. On no level. You go to Jamaica right now. You fly to Jamaica right now. You are flying into an airport named after a fucking white man today. Just to give you an example of the mindset we're talking about of these people we deal with.
No, you're spot on.
Separate ourselves.
You're spot on.
Michael Manley wasn't that bad. I mean, for a white man, he wasn't that bad. I mean, compared to he probably was more for us than the rest of Africa was, which is sad. Even look at Fidel Castro, another non-African man, has been more down for ADOS. Then the whole Africa, the whole Caribbean combined. So it's like, yo, man, stop feeling guilty. You people are feeling too guilty. A lot of jokers feel guilty. For the people that may hear this, it's not live, they hear this down the road, don't feel guilty, man.
I don't feel guilty for shit. Because I know what it is. I know what it is. It's completely mercenary. Like I said, if they ain't on no patriotic shit, they not coming to America because they love America so damn much. They coming to America because for them, there's opportunities. And if it means that they have to put foot to neck like America's been putting foot to neck on us, they will do it and do it gladly. They're America's devil's food cake. They're all of the blackness and none of the justice claim.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's one of the things like we have to. It's getting worse, and as you hear, I don't know if you know the story about the Moors that went to Africa. No, they went to Europe. They went to Europe and burnt the boats behind them, and that's how they got stuck up here. And that was really the origins of the slave trade, just through Spain or whatever. But they went into Spain, they went to Portugal, and burnt the boats behind them. That's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with people that don't even really care about even doing something back home. The Chinese came here. It wasn't marrying white women. They were getting their technology and putting goddamn satellites in the air.
Yep.
They're not even doing nothing to do something with Africa. The Japanese, they went from rice farming to fucking bombing America. 3,000-4,000 people in one day. You're not even doing anything. You're not going to the military. You're not coming out. You're not going to the military so you could create an African army so you can protect yourself in case China starts acting up, which they're already acting up. I mean, you're not even, as a man that has the dual ancestry, it's like I'm just disgusted at just what it is about. You come to America to drive. I'm in the construction union.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be a carpenter. You want to be a fucking Uber driver. You don't want to build Africa. You want the Chinese to come and be the ADOS for you, and to come over here and have an attitude with productive black people, and we're all in the projects. Like it's just so. I'm glad the ADOS popped up. I'm not crazy about the founders. Actually, I really don't like them. I think they really do a lot of harm. But just the concept of ADOS, I'm with.
I hear you.
I'm with it all the way.
I'm with it 100%, bro.
On a big, but I mean, I'm happy, man. People like you are taking up the banner and you're putting information out there. The whole manosphere and took this up. I like the proliferation, just dozens and a half platforms is banging on this ADOS, man. And I'm very appreciative of you people, man. Especially yourself, putting yourself out there, your faces out there. Yeah, I'm spitting fire, but I'm sitting behind the damn. I'm on my cell phone outside chilling. Everybody know who I am. People know who you are. I'm gonna be honest. I mean,
brother, I don't have nothing to hide. Yeah, I don't have nothing to hide.
But you're putting yourself out there as a potential target, though.
Yeah.
Whether you have something to hide or not, you still are a target. You still are a threat because of the fact that you are, you're flaming a fire that they don't like to be flaming. They don't want us to think correctly.
I'm gonna
They
tell
want to
you,
see
Jay.
black
You
as
know
black.
what makes
Black
me a
ain't black.
greater threat? The fact is I want to make more me. I don't want to be just the only voice out here. I want all of us to be
Yeah.
out here. I want to make as many ADOS advocates as possible for me to make. That's what makes me a threat. I want you to do what Mark Black do. Maybe not do it the same way I do it. Maybe not through the same media, not the same way, but with the same fire, the same adherence and love and marriage to the data, the same desire for justice for the people who deserve justice forever, for 400 years in this country. I want to make more me in you. And to the extent that I can do that, then I feel like I've done something, brother.
I appreciate it, man. I
No.
appreciate it, Brother Black. I'm gonna check out. I hope I can catch your show another time. I just so happen, quote on the humble. I mean, how is this? How do you run the show? I don't know what. I know certain people that have certain times, but what is your time that you be on? I just seen you. I'm like, oh, my man on and shit. I've seen you a few times,
So,
but I never called in.
Great
I don't
question.
know what's your days.
I broadcast on Wednesdays, right? So
Okay.
I usually announce it about 1 to 2 hours prior to a broadcast, and it's usually in the afternoon for me, but what will be in the evening for everybody else, because I'm on the west side, right? I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, right? So for me, it's
Okay.
like 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, right? And I also do what I call sucker-free Saturdays, and those are always on Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. PDT. Right, so you can
Yeah.
always catch me then. So those are my two days that I broadcast during the week. But I'll do
I appreciate
videos
it, my
every so
brother.
often. Like if a subject comes up and I want to speak on it, I'll do a little short number where it's not necessarily a call in, but you can come and jump in the chat, have your 2 cents or whatever the case may be. And those are just impromptu. So just catch, if you subscribe, make sure you click that bell to get the notifications. YouTube is not always good about it, but that's the best way
No,
to
they not.
ensure that you get it. And I
They
am
not.
going to be working on setting up a mailing list, right? An email list. So that way I can be able to shoot you guys emails and let you know when I'm broadcasting and things like that.
And one more thing, like how the Mormons have. Now, if
Mhm.
you're a Mormon, they'll let you. If you do 2 years as a missionary, you can go to college for free. I think that's a fair deal. That's the Church of Christ Latter-day Saints.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, why couldn't it be something like I'm like I said, I'm New York City construction. It's fly now, but you know how the economy ebbs and flows. And the first thing to stop is construction.
Oh yeah.
Like, why would Africa not reach out? Why would it not reach out? And you know it's gonna be the first one. It's gonna be black. It's gonna be the first one.
Yeah, they
But
got
why
they
would
got
never even
dams
reach
that
out?
they
Like,
built and
nobody.
shit over there, but they ain't asking
Yeah,
us
like
to come over and build.
no, yeah, we gonna send y'all people over here so they can put their name as black on the application. But I'm tired of that shit, man.
I hear
I'm
you,
tired
brother.
of that. And you got Sheila Lee Jackson.
Sheila
From,
Jackson
that's
Lee.
supposed to be HR. Sheila Jackson Lee. She's a Jamaican.
Yeah.
You know she's Jamaican. I'm like, yo, we got such a house cleaning to do, man.
Boy, you ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. I'm holding off on my critique for the CBC, and I'm gonna ask that all of y'all do the
Bro, you should
same.
No.
No, hold on,
Burn in
hold
hell,
on, bro.
CBC.
I'm about to explain
Uncle
why.
Tom.
There's a meeting that the CBC is having discussing HR 40 on June 19th, right? I want to hear what it is that they have to say. They've blasted out broadly about their advocacy for HR 6 recently and so on and so forth, right? June 19th, they're going to be discussing HR 40 and where their push is going to be for that. If nothing of substance comes in from that meeting, their ass is getting fire, shade, and smoke, period. But for now, I'm backing up and I'm going to see what they say on the 19th. I'm recommending that you all do the same for now, right? I'm not saying holster your weapons. I'm saying ease your finger back up off the trigger for a bit. Let's see what happens on the 19th. All right? So that way, if we need to, we can hit them with both barrels.
Well, my safety gonna stay off though. I'll say that. I'll say my safety will stay off.
That's my man.
I ain't gonna hold. My safety will stay off. But man, I mean, them boys, they got a long track record of undermining the masses of black people.
Oh,
and
most
to say
definitely.
that because they're put on the spot now. And everybody. That's what the big thing with our foreign black people are doing now. It's like, oh, why y'all acting like that now? Because you've been holding and we ain't said this the whole time. Now that we saying shit, now you want to? Oh no, brother. What about Pan-Africanism? What about Pan-Africanism?
Yeah.
What about Pan-Africanism? I come from a Caribbean island. Ain't nobody sending me a goddamn text message. And the island I comes from, my father comes from, is the island that the CARICOM's reparation is based out of.
Exactly.
Prime Minister Gonsalves of St. Vincent and Grenadines, St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Yep.
Ain't nobody reached out to me. They got their own shit going on. They ain't even reaching out to the sons of their own children.
Thank you. CARICOM is pushing right now for reparations from the UK, France, and Germany, and yet I haven't heard none of my brothers and sisters who live here in the States who are Jamaican, Grenadian, Guyanese, Antigua. I haven't heard any of those folks say, hey, they reached out to us. You know what I'm saying? We might be having some checks for y'all. I ain't heard nobody say nothing. So you feel me? Hold their own
blood
nuts.
relatives. We got blood. You talk about blood relatives that you have not done nothing for. You're not even a kid. You did nothing. Did that boy, a Thai girl who was murdered, nobody said nothing. That boy both in Gene, they said nothing about him. But yet, when it comes down to want to have a carnival in Brooklyn and everybody got their feathers and jumping around for carnival, everybody wanted to get together. It was a white woman. White people were getting damn arrested for protesting for Both and John. That is so ridiculous. White women.
And ADOS people. We was out there.
Of course, ADOS.
Yep.
But the fact that white women did, like you got white women, like that's the exact opposite of black empowerment. White women. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful.
No, you good, bro.
Contact with white folks like that. Well, let's be real, bro. Like, there's no entity, man, besides white men that has been more destructive. There's a new study just came out. 40% of the damn slave owners are white women. I mean,
no doubt.
They're putting in more work than the damn fallen black people, man. And the indicators and all. There's the data, and then there's just the basic indicator.
Yeah.
So I want to say about the thing with the Mormons. Like, why can't you offer a situation to where it's like we do 2 years of work, you hold me down. I do 2 years of work or some kind of skilled labor. You got carpenters, you got medical professionals, you got all types of different people with tangible skills. Why wouldn't you try to have some type of system, some type of exchange program?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you leave your country just to not even do anything. It hurts me to a certain extent, but we get into an age now, like my man a few calls ago said, Generation X, we just can't care. We got to go for what we know. We got to be selfish like the Jews. We got to be selfish like everybody else.
Facts.
Got to cost their selfishness for survival, man.
Facts.
It's like if we don't, we've been sleeping.
Yeah.
You know, we've been sleeping for decades, man. Got to keep on pushing. You know, no mercy, man.
But we coming, bro.
Look out.
We coming.
Nobody looking out. I'm gonna get off the line, brother, man.
No,
Peace
you good,
again.
bro. Jay, a pleasure, man. Don't be a stranger. Like I said, hit that bell so you get them notifications, bro. And I love you. Thank you for your support, man. You stay up, and peace to you and your family.
Peace to you and your family, brother.
Yes, sir. I had one other person say in the chat they was gonna call in, so I'll go ahead and take one more call. But that's gonna have to be it. But yeah, these folk. Everybody comes over here and uses black issues to forward their own agenda. Everybody does this. This is how they get away with that bullshit POC stuff, right? People of color. They even have black intellectuals who know that these things are black issues who have to speak POC, and it's garbage. Peace. It's your man Mark Black calling from 832. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Tazabah.
Mark
Black.
Peace, brother.
From Houston, Texas. What's going on?
Hey, you know how it be out here, man. I'm alive and chicken. What's good?
That's right, man. Now, I wanted to revisit something y'all brought up. I've been wanting to get this off my chest for a minute.
Go ahead, bro.
About those dungeons, those caves, those castles over in Africa, on the coast. You know what I mean? How can they charge a black American to go see these places?
Man,
that's my issue.
I hear you.
Problem.
I hear you, Taza. But as a matter of fact, I was watching one of Dinah's videos where he went and visited one of those fortresses there in Ghana. And Dynas was mad as hell. To his credit, he was like, wait a minute. He said, y'all ship my people from here, and I got to pay you?
I seen that one, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I got to pay you to see this?
Yeah. I'm messing with Donis, but Donis he be trying to play the fence, man. And you can't look it, man. You got to choose, man. That's how I feel about Donis, man.
I really feel the same, and I think he's gonna be forced to do it more sooner than later, right? Because ADOS ain't changing up. We're establishing our boundaries and how the dynamic is gonna go with us moving forward. Moving forward,
we're playing
not
cutthroat right now.
Yeah,
we're playing cutthroat. That's plain and simple. Cutthroat. It is what it is. Either you in or you out, and that's how it gotta be. That's how it gotta be. That's how it should have been for a while. You know, we have been asleep. We have been sleepwalking or just dragging our feet. I wouldn't say. I would say we've been aware for a while. We've been aware of what's going on, but now it's just I don't know. It's the strength coming from somewhere. It's a power coming from somewhere. These people are being exposed. All of them. Have you been hearing about what's going on with the Nation of Islam
man?
What young Pharaoh has been saying about them? Man, like.
That
Dude,
shit with the final call is just ridiculous, bro. Like I used to support the Nation. I purchased the final call from the brothers every time I saw them. Never
I got family in the Nation. Yeah, I got family in the Nation. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where a lot of the first knowledge that I was obtaining came from was the Nation.
Yes, sir. I think that's the first knowledge a lot of us come to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Getting that supreme wisdom and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Basic facts about your universe, your planet, you know, the solar system and so on and so forth. Man, look, I've supported the Nation for years. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, what am I gaining for my support? Right? Now there was a young brother, and shout out to him because I had a lot of respect for this young brother, brother Benjamin X, who was on YouTube for quite some time. I don't know if you familiar with
brother
the young
Ben
brother. Yeah, brother Ben X.
I'm familiar with a lot of the tubers. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
brother Ben X
I does my rounds.
He was a dope young brother, right? Real scholarly. You know what I'm saying? You could see him out there on his grind, putting in his work. I admire and still do respect the brother highly, right? But brother Ben X did a video one time that really kind of got my goat, where he was discussing how people will say, well, I'm in the Nation, but the Nation ain't doing nothing for me, right? And he said that the Nation is not there to do nothing for you, right? It's there for you to learn to do for self. And I'm like, well, I can learn to do for myself without all the religious teachings, all the, you know, drilling ceremonies and all the bullshit. Then what the hell do I need the Nation for?
Right.
You feel me? By the way, peace to you, Miss B Life.
We could talk about something else about the Nation, like all right, the Million Man March. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all the money that went into the hands of the Nation at that time, and something was supposed to be done with that money, and still nothing was done.
Or better yet,
still nothing was done.
Let's talk about the second Million Man March. What the hell do we need to atone for as ADOS people in this country? Explain this one to me. What is it that we need to atone for?
And then why is it that they was always saying, well, brothers pull up their pants and brothers stop doing what they're doing, but they don't understand the place that we in. They speaking from a place they don't even understand where we coming from.
Oh, they understand.
No one cares about. Nobody cares about a young black man in the hood. I'm sorry, they don't.
That is facts.
They allowed us to be attacked by police. They allowed us to be manipulated. They allowed us to be railroaded into the prison, into the jail system, to being on probation, being on parole, being stuck in the system as a permanent bottom caste. And I'm like to the point. You know what I mean? I'm to the point. I lost a lot of friends, a lot of things. So the ADOS means everything to me. And so that they need to understand that ADOS ain't going nowhere. ADOS is here to take over. Do you understand? And if you
I'm gonna tell you,
man,
Tazaba, this is why I told the brothers. I did a broadcast. You remember when I was doing my Morning Joe broadcast, brother? I did a broadcast specifically talking about the need for the ADOS men and boys to embrace our lineage, because believe it or not, everybody else in this country has given the fuck up on us, including, I'm sorry, to a great extent, our own sisters, right? So,
it hurts.
you know what I'm saying? We the most overlooked. We the most overlooked, the most downtrodden by any metric. ADOS males are being failed. We're not failing. See, they like to try to put the burden on us. They want to tell us that we're responsible, never minding the fact that every ADOS male you see out there, his first primary teacher, the first primary socialization and secondary socialization and acculturation came from a woman. If ADOS men are a failure, ADOS men are the men that the women have made them to be. Every man out here is a product of the women in his culture. White supremacy persists from generation to generation because they suckle at the teats of white supremacist women. Men build the nations, the countries, the infrastructure that their women and children demand. This is factual, right? So how in the hell is it that the white woman can be pointed at being the obvious, right? The obvious threat that she is, when we don't want to point the finger at our women and say, wait a minute, what the hell kind of men and boys are we minting? How are you allowing us to be basically traded as blood currency for your position in America, and doing it with just cold blooded, just cold with it, like no reflection, no
Right.
remorse, no
You're
nothing.
right.
And then
You're
got the
right.
nerve to tell
You're
you
right.
that you hate women if you mention it. That don't make no damn
Like
sense.
you in the wrong. You in the wrong
ADOS
as a
men,
black man
my
for
brothers out here,
anything. Yeah.
understand this. Brothers,
Yeah.
this transformational moment is for you. This is for you. By every metric in this country, you are the bottom of the bottom. No one should be fighting harder to press home this justice claim than you, my brother. You, my esteemed
And then
brethren.
yeah, same to you, brother. And I'm gonna just leave on this last point that I brought up when I first got on the phone about those dungeons and caves and castles in Africa. I believe that whole coast and those castles should belong to ADOS. I believe Africa owes us. They need to break off their old reparations too. And I also believe that, you know what I mean, that when we do go back to Africa, we coming back to reclaim what's ours. We're not coming back to be ruled over, to be told what to do or how to live or any of that. I feel like, man, all of this is we're gonna run our own situation, and we need to have the right people in place to make that happen.
Facts,
And I'm pretty sure
absolutely.
you know what I mean. So that's where I'm at with it, and I hope that everybody, continues to just, you know what I'm saying, stay with the data, stay locked in, stay learning. I stay learning every day. I read articles, I read all types of things. You know what I mean?
Now,
Matter of fact,
Tazaba, are you
what's
reading The Color of Money?
The Color of Money? No, I'm not reading that. I wasn't aware of that. What's
Hit
that
the
about?
link in the description field. I got a link
Okay,
to the book.
okay,
You can
okay,
order it. I'm gonna be discussing it on
okay.
the end of this month, on the last Sucker Free Saturday broadcast for this month. I'm gonna be reviewing and discussing the book. I'm reading it right now. It's a great read, man. You gotta get it.
Oh yeah, and one more thing. I don't like the brother when he said he don't like the founders, man. You crazy, man. I started off with Tone. For me, I was the first person I was listening to. He put me off on Yvette. You know what I mean? I was new to this YouTube stuff when I first started listening to Tone, but he caught my ear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With what he was talking about. You understand what I mean? And then Yvette, you know what I'm saying? That's like big sis. That's like, you feel me, auntie. That's like, you understand what I mean? Like the way she speaks, she's not speaking to us like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
we speaking like we family for
for
real.
sure.
We ain't out here like, we ain't out here talking no politically correct, man. We out here talking
But you
because
know
this is
what
what
though?
it is.
Here's
We
the
going
thing.
through this.
I'm certain Yvette and Tone would say the same thing as I'm about to say. It don't matter if he liked them or not. They're not doing this for
Right,
popularity. They're doing this to be of
right.
service to our tribe, right? They understand not everybody gonna
Mm-hmm.
ride with them because ride with them as persons, right? There's a lot of folk that if you're an advocate for ADOS, there's a lot of folk that you'll run across in your folk ways and byways, some of which you would have maybe some personal thing, or like they just kind of don't sit with, right with you, right? You know what I'm saying? Or
I
whatever the
just feel like
case may be.
he didn't need to say that. I just felt like that was just unneeded. You
But
know
you
what
know
I'm saying?
what
He
though,
already had
Tazaba?
added added great value.
I
He
would
didn't need to
rather that
add
brother
that. You know
get
what I
that
mean?
off his chest and have that out in the
Mm-hmm.
open than for us to be thinking that the brother had esteem for them only to not.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we can't be
Correct.
we can't be afraid of the truth, Taza. But sometimes the truth come to us and it don't feel very good. You know what I'm saying? It don't make us like, sometimes the truth don't make us feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I really just didn't understand. Yeah, I really just didn't understand. I was like, well, what is that like, bro? You don't even know her. You don't even know her.
I personally love Sister Yvette. Tone, I'm warming up to Tone. I don't dislike the brother. I actually respect him a great deal. But Tone is a different level. Like Yvette's like my baby, my baby sister, because I'm a little older than Yvette, right? So she's like my baby sister. Like I want to, every time I hear her speak, I want to give her a hug because my people's is from the South. So when she speak with that Southern gravy accent she got, that shit just warms my heart. You know what I'm saying, right? So
and I'll be feeling it. Yeah,
I definitely vibe with Yvette. Tone's growing on me, but regardless of what any of you feel about any of the advocates or the proponents, any of us advocates will tell you, don't cleave to us. We are not the leaders. Cleave to the data, right? The data is what's going to give us the impetus needed for this fight.
Yeah, it's like we ain't got no leaders. We all are.
Yeah, we all look. If anybody's leading us, my ancestors' blood calling from the soil is what leads me. The remembrance of my ancestors who fought, bled, screamed, suffered, and died on this soil is what drives me to do what I do. My little bug man is what drives me to do what I do. That's all I need. I don't need no leaders.
I don't want to hold your line up, man.
No, you good. You the last one, Taza. So, man, I'm glad we finished up with you. But man, as always, brother, a pleasure. You welcome to call in anytime, man. And I really appreciate you chiming in.
You can lock my number in, matter of fact, Mark. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to do that. Let me do that right now. Give me just a second.
Lock me in, man. Yeah. So like this thing is real to me, man, and I see your passion for it, man, and I share it, man. And like I said, we out here, we for real with it. And we gonna try to pull more in that feel the same way we feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, brother, we'll keep up the good work. We appreciate you, man, and thank you so much for the call.
We appreciate you, Mark. We appreciate everything that you're doing too, Mark. Keep up the good work, man. Don't stop.
Never.
Jenny, number love. Yes.
She's out right now. She's zonked, but I'm gonna make sure I let her know. And Sage, I'm glad you found us too. Peace, brother Tazaba. Sage, I'm glad you found us too, man. By the way, Minutes, thank you. I appreciate it. Look, family, my job here is to edify and to uplift, to provide you with the information and the data needed to make you me. And if I've done that, then I consider that a great broadcast, right? So, family, with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few things before I go. Check the links in the description field. There's links to my Discord server where you can come in, join with other people, have conversations, post information, comments. There's also a link to a survey there I'd like for you to take the time and go through. I want to know what topics you need to hear more about, right? I want to make sure that I'm providing you with the information that's relevant, salient, and important to your life. And if you have the spare coins and you have the time, consider going ahead and throwing a few bucks your brother's way. Every tip is appreciated and definitely needed. So family, be prepared for your sucker-free Saturday. You know how we do, 4:30 p.m. PDT this Saturday. Be here or you're going to miss out on a treat, right? And until the next time I see you all, remember, as always, I want to wish you love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.